Hey everybody, I'm back with a movie review. After I just covered two different Pokemon films to post on the channel, now I'll be covering Digimon, the first movie. Well, the only movie. And it's more of like a anthology stories mixed into one, but it kind of interconnect a bit. Before I continue, please smash that like button. The YouTube been acting kind of funny with the like button, so do me a favor and hit that like button. I duly appreciate it. Also, follow me along on my various channels. Links in the description below, like my YouTube channel and Twitch, etc., where I stream games and other content, such as like movie reviews, TV show reviews, or just regular reaction videos. Anyway, Digimon the movie. This was hyped to all hell. So 2000s, because it came out in the 2000s. So it's right in that crunch period before 9/11, and it was still early phases of the internet. So it was very in a sweet spot of a time where things were just like, society was in like a pretty decent spot. I argue from like maybe mid 80s to like pre 9/11, things were like gravy. And I'm not saying we still have like certain issues here and there socially, but in general, society was acting in like a right frame of mind. You know, things were just like in general pretty freaking sweet. Uh, Especially when it comes to creative content. Digimon was on a tear in popularity, right along with Pokemon at that time. And we already went through at least a couple of uh, generations of Pokemon. Sorry, not Digimon, the Digidestin characters. And this was directed by Mamoru Hosoda. And we get like a you know how like certain animated films has like a little animated short to go along with the film. This one has one as well. If you remember the TV show, which most young girls would know because they, a lot of them seem to gravitate towards this show. Was Amanda Anaconda? Yeah, Angela Anaconda. I'm sorry. I seen a couple of stuff from Angela Anaconda as a kid. I wasn't really vibing with the animation personally. I get the vibe they was going, but I'm pretty sure it vibed well with certain girls. Uh, but the lead character was pretty funny. So it's pretty much like a little short uh, little episode here where Angela and all these supporting characters was going to see the Digimon movie at the theater, but you know, I do remember Angela Anaconda usually had this trope with imagining scenarios of how to deal with certain issues, and she sees her little rival or bully or whatever, uh, and her little crew of flunkies trying to mess up her enjoyment of the film until they realize they're in the wrong theater and they go run to the other theater to go see the Digimon movie. Don't know how you got to the wrong theater, but whatever. Uh, and leaving the bully there sitting with, I think, was the teacher, who's pretty much fat and gross. Uh, then we begin with the film, and we start off with like the Dizzy Destin. We only see like we hyper focus on Tai and Kari, who Tai is the leader of the first uh, team of Dizzy Destin. Uh, uh, Voiced by Joshua Smith, Kari voiced by Laura Jill Miller. Uh, uh, we got Peggy O'Neill as Bataman, Brian Siddell, Michael Surek as Big Agumon, Bob Poppenbrook as Red Greymon, but also did like the character Koromon with these four. We got David Lodge as Parrotmon, Dorothy Ellis Fawn as Mrs. Kamiya, Tai and Kari's mom. Uh, we got Colleen O'Shaughnessy as Sword Takenochi, Phyllis Sampler as Mimi, Mona Marshall as Izzy, Michael Lindsay as Joe, Michael Reeves as Matt, Wendy Lee voices a young TK, and Doug Airholtz as older TK. We got Paul St. Peter as the Aboromon, Mike Reynolds as Jedi, Tom Fon as Agumon, Michael Lindsay as Greymon, Joseph Pilato as Metal Greymon, and Lex Lang as War Greymon. Tentamon is voiced by Jeff Nimoy, Biyumon as Tiffany Criston, Gabumon as Kirk Thornton, Palmon as Anna Gordono, Patamon as Laura Summer as Patamon, but you know what I'm saying. Dave Mallow voices Anjumon and Seraphamon. Gomamon is voiced by R. Martin Klein. Gatamon is voiced by Edie Merman. The character Willis is voiced by Bob Glauberman. Terramon is voiced by Mona Marshall. Michael Surik as Gargomon and Lex Lang as Rapidmon. Kokomon is voiced by Paul St. Peter. Wendy Lee as Little Kokomon. Davis is voiced by Brian Donovan. Yoli voiced by Tiffany Christian. Cody is voiced by Phyllis Sampler. Vmon is voiced by Derek Stephen Prince. Stephen J. Bloom, or Steve Bloom, voices Flemdramon, Rydramon, and Magnamon. Hawkmon is voiced by Neil Kaplan. Steve Bloom, don't want to go with Steven, just say Steve Bloom, also voices Poromon. Armadillomon is voiced by Robert Axelrod. Dave Mallow voices Upamon, and Tom Fawn voices Digimon. Gold Rush. Sorry, every time I think of Digimon, I think about his attack, Gold Rush, and the way he says it. I don't know, but anyway. So those are the characters that we're gonna be seeing throughout the film. Anyway, we see a small Tai and Kari who get a digi-egg from their computer, who eventually has this into, I forgot what that black Digimon called, but eventually evolves into Koromon and eventually a big Agumon. To this day, I never understood why, because Agumon is probably about the size, probably the same height as a Charmeleon, if you want to compare heights. But here in this film, because you never see that again in the next installment, but in the segment when they're small children, Agumon is practically the size of a sedan, which is weird. That I never understood the logic behind making that decision. And is digivolving pretty quickly. But Tai and Kari established a friendship with Agumon, or Koromon at the time. And of course, you gotta have some poop jokes in here. So, never thought I'll see a Digimon taking a shit, but here we are. But anyway, Koromon evolves into Agumon, mostly in response to some weird giant Digi that's coming out of the sky for some reason. and only we see images, not images, but like we see clips here and there of other Dizzy Destin that we'll see from the series, but in their younger state because they were like young kids at the time. But it's pretty much set here is what was the setup to the overall show and why they became the Dizzy Destin because they're the ones that witnesses this event that nobody else saw. They were destined to be a part of this and why they would become such a big deal when they get a little older. But Agumon leaves out of the apartment, kind of wrecks the kid's bedroom slightly. Don't know how that was explained. I guess we don't need to worry about that. But I'm pretty sure the mom will probably lost her mind seeing that gaping hole in the kid's wall. But don't know why she didn't wake up from the sound of obviously a crash coming through the kid's room. But the Parrotmon that came out of the digital world into the real world, Agumon pretty much responding to that, and not sure why Agumon is seemingly going off of animal instincts and not actually speaking and cooperating like that. But Agumon starts trying to attack Paramon, but since he's a rookie level and Paramon is a champion level Digimon, obviously these two clashing, it's not going to end well with Agumon. But he eventually digivolves into Greymon, and we get. I want to mention right now we get obviously the Digimon theme song, but we also get all the other good songs from the soundtrack of the series all throughout this film. So I want to make sure I make a point in mentioning that. Great soundtrack of this entire film. No notes on that. But obviously Paramon eventually knocks out Greymon. Thanks to Tai using Kari's whistle, the way she uses to wake him up out of bed, he uses it to wake Greymon up. And it's kind of like Kari is pretty much narrating the entire film, and the way she points out how even back then, Tai has always been kind of courageous. Is why he was destined to be the leader of the Dizzy Destins, because he's always ready to jump in head first to help. Greymon gets like a renewed vigor and uses his Nova Flame to destroy Paramon, but in the process, I guess they end up getting sent back to the digital world. But it's never fully explained as to why that, happened. It's like, why all of a sudden now they get sent back? I don't know. It wasn't like no wormhole kind of. Well, I guess that big white light, I guess, is like another wormhole. You can say like that is opening back up to pull them back into the digital world. But then we get fast forward 4 years. Fast forward 4 years. They're at the age after the events of the series, when they took care of like the threats that they had to take care of, but definitely before they got a little older, before the next group of Digidestin come about. Ties in a kind of like a beef with what's her name, with the Dizzy Destin of Love, Sora. I'm glad we, at the very least, we get all the Dizzy Destin that we've seen from the first two generations involved, and we get to hear their voice actors, but they don't get involved like we want them to. It's kind of lame. We see their Digimon, they get some airtime, at least a minute, but man, oh man, it's kind of like a waste in a way. Whereas you got them here, you couldn't figure out a way to get them more involved. That is probably my biggest grief in the entire film. That we see them. Well, here's the thing. Obviously, the next segment is more focused on the next generation of Dizzy Destin, so they have to be the focus. Luckily, it's not that many of them compared to the first wave. But in this first segment, second segment, whereas like the main the meat of the story, I argue, is you got all 8 or 9 Destin here. They're around. So is their Digimon, at least in the digital world, but they can speak through the computer. And we see this infected Digiegg that's inside the internet that quickly is digivolving eventually into Diaboromon, and he's seeking somebody. And only Ty and Izzy is around to try to take care of it. Matt and TK is visiting their grandmother in the country who doesn't have an internet. Because of Diaboromon, all phone lines are pretty much cut off, so they can't really try to reach out to anybody. So they have to pretty much, the way the because we still had like landlines at the time, so the phone company had the people pretty much like only way to reach people, you gonna, at least for the time being until they fix this, is to pretty much playing phone tag, leave a message, and then have them call back with their own message. So Mimi is on vacation in Hawaii while this is all transpiring. Sora's in her little personal little teenage feelings, and they can't get over like because she's mad at Ty over like a hair clip, and then she's like, "So you say I don't have good hair?" That's not what he said. It's a typical, I'm sorry, it is a typical woman thing. It's like taking one thing and try to make it out of some other thing. It's so dumb. It was dumb as hell back then too. It's still dumb now. So she couldn't get her own freaking feelings. Mind you, she's a teenager, but still, it's like clearly he's trying to reach you for a reason. You could have like Ty could have had somebody else reach out to her because she would easily pick up for them. But saying like it's a clearly emergency, need help. I'm pretty sure when he eventually see her later on after the whole incident, it's like, bitch, I tried to call you. It was an emergency. I needed your help. Me, Matt, TK, and Izzy trying to get some help, and you didn't bother like answer your freaking phone. It's like God, it's like so dumb. At least Mimi had an excuse. She was already on vacation anyway, so she obviously couldn't be reached. But so eventually, no thanks to Matt and TK's grandma, who's clearly out of her mind and should be in a home. Once they eventually get the message, they had to get a ride into town to you because their grandma don't have a workable internet computer or workable computer to that access. They don't have a computer at all, so they don't have like a easy access to the internet. So they had to go all the way into town. And by the way, I love to see the use of the flip phones because I miss the flip phones. But anyway, they had to go all the way into town in order to use a local barber's computer in order to help out with TK and Izzy. Because Tentamon and Agumon, even when Digivolve into their champion forms, could not take on this threat by themselves. Meanwhile, for some reason, most of the world, at least the children, well, let's say most of the people who are looking at through their computers are watching this fight going on. Not sure why they ain't raising a fuss or nothing's going on with the news with like, hey, by the way, there's some weird creatures that seemingly on the internet is fighting or something like that, and this is obviously not like a TV show, so what the heck? There should be more of a big news story about this part outside of the fact that Diaboromon accessed government facilities to send nuclear missiles to particular areas. The first of which is going to Colorado because this virus is who created Diaboromon is looking for a particular person who, by the way, is named uh, crap Davis, not Davis. What the heck? No, not Davis. Crap. Uh, uh, Willis. I'm sorry, Willis in Colorado. One of the missiles is heading directly there. Another in Japan, right near Tai's home, uh, uh, and other strategic places. And the other governments are trying to shoot it down, but Diaboromon is darn near taking over. So it can't. None of the missiles can be shot down. So it's up to the Digidestined to stop this thing so they can stop the missiles. But he's also multiplying, and it isn't helping the fact that all the kids that are watching this are emailing Ty and Izzy, trying to show their support, but the influx of emails is slowing their Digimon down. Uh, but eventually, Matt and TK shows up, but only Gabumon manages to warp. Gabumon and Agumon managed to warp Digivolve into their ultimate forms. Which is a shame. We didn't get to see Patamon evolve into the Anjumon, and we don't get to see Mega Kabuterimon, but whatever. They are pretty much stopped by Diaboromon, and War Greymon and Mega Kargrugumon are pretty much bombarded by all these Diaboromon. But thanks to Matt and Ty warping their way into the computer to reach to their Digimon, giving them some encouragement, they end up fusing together into DNA Digivolve into Omnimon, who is powerful enough to take out all these copies of Diaboromon, but there's one left, but he's super fast. You can't track it, but Izzy got the idea of sending all those emails, forwarding it to Diaboromon, so now he's getting all those influx of emails, forcing him to be slow to allow Omnimon to kill this thing just in a nick of time to cause the missiles to go inert and they become harmless. So that's pretty much the end of that segment. Now we fast forward to the present day as the Digi Destin a little older, and we got the new generation of Dizzy Destin of Davis, Cody, and what's that other girl's name with Hawkmon? Crap. Yoli. And they while Kari and TK are visiting New York City to visit Mimi while they're on vacation, because Mimi's apparently comes from a rich family. But we don't see Mimi at all here, so she just not helping. Like I said, I know the main focus is like the next generation, which David's technically the leader, but Kari and TK are a little bit more experienced in this because they've been at it with the previous generation. So they've been through the grind. So they pretty much like have a little bit more, can offer more words of wisdom and expertise and how to handle certain things and how to work as a team. And with teaching this other stuff to the new generation who are technically their same age, but they was at it earlier than they are. And we got the whole armor digivolving thing, which is pretty dope. Which, by the way, I've been doing that very recently with the Digimon video game that just still haven't finished, but I'll get back to it tomorrow. Anyway, so while in New York, they come across Willis, who's now older, around their age, and he's getting accosted by this corrupted Kokomon because when he get his Digi-Egg, it hatches into twins, which one eventually digivolve into uh, Kokomon, which is a little bit smaller, but it grew higher eventually. But it's corrupted because of that virus from the previous segment. But also we got Terriermon, who from another generation of Digidestin, from a new generation, had like a Terriermon. Uh, but there are multiple Terriermons, just like there's probably multiple like all versions of Digimon. It's not just one each. Anyway, Terriermon is very cute. I love Terriermon. It's one of my favorite Digimon. Um, I just kind of, but it isn't the Terriermon that I like to say Momentai. I don't know why. I love that whole Momentai thing, especially coming through that voice. Anyway, uh, the Digi Egg hatched into twin Digimon. One got corrupted and the other didn't. So now Willis is being told to go back by a corrupted Kokomon, but isn't saying anything else beyond that. So he figured he wants to go. He wants him to go back to Colorado. So his is a ride while bumping into Davis and the others, who get called by Kari to come help. And thanks to Yo Lee, who has I guess a well-off family, because she can just call up people who happen to have the kind of transportation that will benefit her and her friends in order to get to New York from Japan while they was on vacation at a beach. Anyway, they bring their Digimon and they end up bumping into Willis, and making their way back to Colorado still isn't good enough for Kokomon, and Willis blames himself because Kokomon got into the state, it keeps attacking anybody close or trying to help Willis. So he trying to handle it himself. But since he lives in America and the only kind of friends he had was his Digimon, he has not gotten used to working with a team as compared to the Digidestin that primarily was from Japan. But which is kind of weird because I remember from the series that the Digidestin end up finding each other in weird ways. Is destined, but for some reason in America, Willis could not find other nearby people who happen to have their own Digimon too, and just by fate end up bumping into them. It's kind of weird because that's always it's darn near almost always the case in the series. So it's kind of weird in this case. Anyway, so Willis decides to work, with everybody because now he actually have people who can actually help and knows about this world. So everybody ends up showing up, including Kari and TK. But the assistant is short-lived, despite everybody digivolving into their champions or mega forms. It's still not enough because Kokomon evolved into its mega form and it's pretty much, mollywops all of them. But he also has a weird reversal of time ability, changing the Digidestins back to their kitty forms. Like their, like 8-year-old kind of forms. Don't know why he needed to do that, or at least how that would help him, defeat them. I don't know. But before all that, Anjamon and Anjawomon evolved into their mega forms in order to create the golden Digi eggs before they get knocked out. So Davis and Willis used those golden digi eggs to digivolve Vmon and Terriermon into their golden mega forms, Magnemon and Rapidmon, which Rapidmon already exists if you've seen like that other Digimon series. As part of the mega, well, not the mega form, it's like the evolution line before the mega form. So that was already a thing. He could have named it something else to separate that, but whatever. So they seemingly get swallowed whole by Mega Kokomon, but since they could not do permanent damage on the outside, they realize it's on the inside that need to be shot up. So they see like the infection inside and they destroy it, but it uncorrupted Kokomon, we see its pure form, but it still is destroyed. But Davis lets Willis know that Digimon don't really die. They, they just come back in a different form. It's digital. So this, gives him, good spirits, gives him hope. So they all say their goodbyes. Willis sneak kisses Yoli and Kari, which is nice and cute, but 26 years later, or even 19 years later from this point, that would have been considered a assault charge, unfortunately, instead of being just like a cute moment from teenagers. Uh, uh, so they say their goodbyes. They head their way back to Japan. On his way back to Colorado, Terriermon and Willis find the Digi-Egg of Kokomon, putting them back into good spirits. And that was Digimon the movie. Like these little segments, like I said, I had my little issues here and there that, always bugged me, in terms of like the narrative standpoint. Mainly the fact that we don't utilize all the Digidestin. Not to saying like you need to have a full blown battle royale, but it's just like they got to be involved at least a little bit into the fight. It's like, why you even have them there just to be glorified cameos in a movie about them? Anyway, yeah, but it's still enjoyment. It's a nice little, nice time going back into like the whole digital world Digimon, uh, movie. But eventually, I will get into the series. It'll be fun to revisit all of that. But in any case, let me know in the comments below what you guys think of the Digimon movie. Have you seen it recently? If not, highly encourage you to rewatch it. And definitely, if you have kids, if you've seen Digimon yourself as a kid, show it to your kids. Reintroduce the world of Digimon to them, because this is an amazing, amazing series. In any case, I will see you guys tomorrow, because like I said, I'll be getting back into the Digimon game, Storytime Strangers. I know most of you guys are probably already finished with that, but I got a busy life. I can play when I can. But anyway, I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Have a great week. Peace.